Okay, B'ezrat Hashem, B'siyata Dishmaya, we're continuing with our series in Neshama Neshima, the Jewish breathwork series. We are learning from the third chapter called Etz HaChaim, the tree of life, which is bringing us all of the different sources for breathwork from our rabbis, from the beginning of time with Sefer Yetzirah, the book from Avraham Avinu, throughout the times. And we are up to the Mefarshim, Rashi, the Rishonim. ויש מפרשים רוח היא הנשמה העשויה בדמות הגוף נשמה נשימה אליינה בלעז. He brings some French word here, but Rashi says, Chagiga, there are those who explain ruach as the neshama that is made in the image of the body, neshama neshima. And then he brings some old French word called Eliana, I don't know how to say it. That's a Rashi. That's a quote from Rashi telling you that the Ruach, what is the Ruach? It's a spirit, a Neshama that is in the form of the body, right? And it's called Neshama Neshima. Soul, breath. Mikan Shema Sefer Shalom. That's the name of this book. Right? It took us 107 pages to understand what the actual source of the book. We knew what it meant because it's obvious, Neshama Neshima, right? Breath and soul. But here he's telling us outright. Where did he get it from? From this Rashi in Masechet Chagiga. V'zeh pirush katan al kach. This is a little explanation from the words of Rashi. She'elenu derech remez. We have a question now. U'bakeshe leTorah chet. It's a connection back to Torah chet of Reb Nachman. Ma tivu shel alaz alaz. Sherashi mitargem milah ko mukeret. Why is Rashi translating a word that's so known? Neshama, Neshima, Ruach. Why do you need to bring me a translation, right? By the way, Rashi is one of the number one sources in the world for Old French. People that study ancient France, like old France and the way they used to speak there in theater and the literature and everything, Rashi is one of the top sources for words. Because when he wrote his Pirush on the Chumash, for the people that are around him, he wrote, this is what we call it in our language. Right? Meaning here in France, or Germany, wherever they were, they had a word for this thing that Rashi was trying to explain. He would use the English word of our days, right? Or the Spanish word of our days, the Arabic word in the Mizrach. So he would use the Goyish town there, whatever they were speaking, French, German. Why is Rashi translating Ruach, Neshama, or Neshima? We don't need translations for things that are so well known. Usually he translates birds or materials or fabrics, different things. Rashi had another secret that was hidden besides just translating words for you. He wanted to elevate the sparks from the klipa by way of speech to take them out of these words. V'yesh l'tzayin shemilah atika zo, that this ancient word that he uses, Eliana, it's Aleph, Lamed, Yud, Nun, Aleph. It's a French word, right? But he writes it like this. Shehi adayin b'shimush b'safa tzarfatiyat. It's still being used in the French language, says Rav Bezenson, who is French. רק שקצת השתנתה עם הזמן, ומשמעות הנשמה, נשימה בלבד, הפכה בעיקר להבל וריח פה. הלנה. What is it? It's the breath and the smell, so to say, the sense, the breath and the smell that comes out of the breath. That's what the word it means in French. In French, the word is Haleine. Right? Same way in English, in the way Rashi writes it in that, right? It used to mean neshama, neshima, the breath of the soul. And now, so to say, it means a person's breath, a person's bad breath, whatever it is. Here's the hint. In Torah Chet, Reb Nachman talks about rebuking another person. And the rebuke there, he says, right, it has to come with a tone of Mashiach. If you rebuke a person, it has to come with this, as if it's the Mashiach finding all the good in you and trying to lift you up and not act that way, right? That that whole Torah is talking about this idea of rebuke. And it all depends on the spirit that is inside the mouth of the rebuker, of the person coming to give rebuke. How are you coming? What's the tone there? Reach gashmi, is there a physical sense here? Fragrance, is it this world? Lo bidyuk ela reach psychologi yoter. It's more a psychological thing, right? How are you approaching? The words you're saying could be said that way, and they could be said that way, and they could be received one way and rejected the other. According to the quality of that spirit, of that breath, of those words being said, of that smell of the thing, the vibe of the words you're saying, the tone of how you give that rebuke could either bring life or completely embarrass the person that you're accusing of doing whatever you did wrong. שעל ידי נשימה מכוונת הוא זכה לנשום רוח ריח טהור וניחוח דווקא, כך הוא מוסיף בזולתו אנרגיה חיובית הנקראת יראה ומזון הנשמה. When a person practices their own breathing with intention to bring down neshama, neshima, ruach, reach, to bring down proper spirits, to bring down holiness into themselves, and they take the time themselves to sit and to breathe with intention. So when they came to give rebuke to another person, to tell a person, hey, there's a better way to do it, so then the tone coming out of them is going to be one that adds positive energy, that is called ira umazon haneshama, awe and sustenance for the soul. Right? Rav Nachman says there, the proper rebuke should feed a person to bring them closer to Hashem. Right? And like Reb Natan says in a different place, when you give rebuke in an improper way, it's like you're shaking a garbage bag, but you didn't even take it out. It sat there for a week, it didn't smell because it wasn't moving. You come, you shake the whole entire bag, you leave it there, you didn't even really fix the problem, and now the whole room stinks. That's improper rebuke. How can awe provide sustenance to the neshama? By way of it adding more caution, more care in the actions of a person, in the mind of a person, which that caution in your actions, in your mind, is what you're completely dependent on. Holding your mind strong, right? So that awe, that is food for the soul. How is awe food for the soul? Because you need to know, Hashem's watching me. Hashem's here. There's a Torah I have to follow. Everything's being written down. Everything is being recorded. I have to act properly. I have to do the right thing. So that's one mefaresh. From Rashi, that's one place. Another place Rashi says, "Vaydaber Moshe ken el bnei Yisrael velo shamu el Moshe mikotzer ruach u'me'avoda kasha." Moshe said these words to the children of Israel, and they couldn't listen to him from a shortness of breath and from a hard work. Rashi explains there, "Velo shamu el Moshe." They didn't listen to Moshe. Lo kiblu tanchumim. They didn't receive the consolement that Moshe was coming to give them, telling them, guys, it's going to be okay, we're going to get out of here. Don't worry, just hold on a little bit, we're going to get out of here, the Geula is coming. They couldn't listen to that. Why? Mikotzer ruach, from a lack of breath. Kol mishu mitzer rucho v'neshimato katzra ve'eno yochola la'arich v'neshimot. Whoever afflicts their ruach, their spirit, and their breath is short, and he's not able to take long breaths. Rashi teaches us amazing things in his short. Rashi's very precise when he talks, right? Every single letter is weighed. He's extremely precise in the way he writes. And he says, how do you prepare your body, your nefesh, your lowest level of yourself, right? Your soul that's in this world. How do you prepare yourself to be ready when you have a test, when hard times are coming? ידוע שתפקידו של צדיק לנחם את העם בעת צרתם. What's the job of the tzaddik? The tzaddikim, their job is to give hope and consolement to the nation in a time of a hard time, in pressing times. The tzaddikim come and they tell you, it's okay, Hashem's behind this, you're going to see the light soon. It's alright, just hold on, stay conscious, Hashem's with you, He loves you. Right? That's their job. When there's a pressing time, they're the last people that should be stressed. Right? They should be the opposite. They should be the ones walking around with a smile telling us it's all going to be okay. ובעיקר בהראותו להם את עתידם הנפלא, וכך להושיעם. Main thing the tzaddik does by way to console a person is to show them their good future, and that's the main way that they're going to have salvation. You're going to get out of this. It's going to be okay. ברם מעופיו של עצם המצר לקצר את רוח האדם עד שלא יוכל להאריך בנשימתו, ומכאן שלא עוזר את שמיעתו את דברי המנחם. The way of the oppressor, though, is to take away and to shorten the breath and the spirit of the person he's oppressing, so that he won't be able to breathe long, and he won't be able to think, and he won't be able to have the help of hearing consoling, uplifting words. Right? That's why the Egyptians wanted us to work so much. If we work, we won't have time for Torah, we won't have time for prayer, we won't have time to sit and talk about the good old days of Israel and the fact that we're going to go back and we're slaves now, but we really have a home. We won't have time for all of those pockets of hope. You just work, sleep. Work, sleep. So too now, people work all the time. They're caught up in the rat race, caught up in life, whether it's spiritual or physical life. Right? You got to do this mitzvah, got to do this, got to do that. Do you ever sit and talk and just remember, listen to the words of what the tzaddikim are really saying, that there's a purpose, it's all going to be okay. There's not such a frantic race. That's all right. Take a deep breath, relax, listen for a bit. And how do we fix this? First things first, take deep breaths. Lengthen your breath. Then your breath is not short, it's not being strangulated. And now you will be able to have the ability to get some kind of consolement and comfort from the words of the tzaddik. So breathwork, breathing, right? Just simple breathing properly, lengthening your breath, is the passage into connecting to Moshe Mashiach, right? That soul of Mashiach, that is the soul of Moshe Rabbeinu, in order to hear his words and to live by way of them, to receive life from them, to continue to live, to stay connected to Hashem, to have the hope that you need to get through any day in this world, whether it's a good day or a bad day, right? In the situations we're in already now, you need a lot of hope, you need a lot of emunah. You need to hear the words of the tzaddikim. Sometimes we don't even have the ability to hear them and to receive what they're telling us, because we haven't taken the time to sit down and to just breathe. Stop everything and just breathe. It's aleph bet of being a human. Before you were giving any Torah, any mitzvah, anything, any expectations in life, first thing they wanted you to do when you got out of your mother's stomach was to breathe. That's it. That was the number one sign any human being in that room needed to know you were okay and you were alive. Just breathe. Still to now. You want to know you're alive? Stop everything you're doing for a bit, every day, and breathe with proper intention. Come back to Hashem. Then when you hear Torah, then when you pray and you read the words of the Tzadikim, the words of Alshech, the words of the prophets, the words of Moshe Rabbeinu, the words of Avram, then you'll be able to hear the dveikut, the elokut that's inside there, and bring life back into your own life. Another Rashi, ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש. We say this every Shabbat, right? Kiddush, Piresh Rashi. Rashi says, Keter Gamo, Venach. What's Shabbat ויהי נפש? Venach, to relax, to chill out. V'chol lashon nofesh, v'nefesh, nofesh. Right, to this day in Hebrew we use this, a kfar nofesh, a village of like a retreat, a resort, it's called a kfar nofesh. Nofesh. Vayinafash. What's nofesh? Lashon nefesh shemeshiv nafsho v'neshimato bargio mitorach hamelacha. What does it mean, linshov, to relax? Vayinafash. It's when you sit back and you calm down and you relax yourself from all of the work that you put in your creation, in your business dealings, in this world. Anytime you're doing something, that time when you sit down, that's called vayinafash, nofesh. So to Hashem, right? Shabbat is the sign that 6 days Hashem did His work. On the 7th day, Shabbat vayinafash. He sat down and he relaxed from all of the work that he did. Look very well in the first lessons that we did in this series. How stress that comes from the work that you do in this world hurts and afflicts you and affects you very, very much. Therefore, you see from that, if stress has such an effect on you, it can make you lose your world. Stress, right? And it's the opposite of everything in Torah and mitzvot and avodat Hashem. Stress is the complete opposite of that. Even if it comes from there, right? There is a holy stress that there is, but not to have the OCD and the anxiety and all those things. From there we learn how important it is to have menucha, to have a rest, neshifa, to exhale, to hameshivat nefesh, that will be able to return your soul into you, to revive your soul. This is that neshimato, this neshama, Rashi translated as, right, this vayinafash, which is an exhale, so to say, is translated as a relax. This is a big connection between relaxing and breathing. Between your soul and the day of Shabbat. Shabbat, which is that day that sof sof, finally you're able to just breathe. Here, from here we understand the importance of guarding our speech. On Shabbat, you're not allowed to talk, you're not allowed to say a word. It's talked about Shabbat. So that you shouldn't use mundane words when you're resting and when you're happy. When you have a day of Shabbat, you shouldn't bring mundane weekday things into that. Have a great day. Hashem.